So we got, is it James?
Yes.
How you doing, James?
Well, your problem comes in, you're about 8 seconds behind on the telephone, or ahead on the telephone than what you're on the TV.
Yeah, it's a.
And if they don't expect it, they're going to be sitting there thinking that if you're not familiar with it. But anyway, well, going back to what Tracie had said a while ago, about when someone would say that way, like a murderer would go back and sit there and talk, and then say, well, God forgives me, this and that. To me, that's about like going and saying, like, I hate saying it to sound facetious in that sense, but Catholics go to a priest when they commit sins outside, and then they go to confession.
Yeah, that's a hell of a gimmick.
And it's repeated over and over and over. I've got a friend that can, God almighty, excuse me what I said. But anyway, he does something against...
I'll throw in a God almighty on that one.
On his, 2 times on his wife constantly. And he goes, and Matt knows that I'm an old gay man. I got a gay friend that was sitting in there, went at least 4 times to confession at the church, to the Catholic Church. And he can, if you don't wait on him and jump, he was older than I was. He's PhD holder at UT, taught at UT, had money coming there which direction. But if he needed something done, and you're not right there within the next 20 minutes, he'd pick up that phone and curse you out like crazy. He showed no remorse for his anger or hatred to you, but then goes ever, like I say, to church and goes to confession and says, forgive me. But also, thinking that way, then another point I would like to go back to, because within my own self, I concentrate within my own body self, my energy. Okay, you're going to say that. If I get a headache, I try to concentrate on that headache and try to make it go away. Okay. I don't go to confession and ask for help. I do it within my own self.
You take an aspirin?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Just waits for it to go away.
How long?
I know that you.
No, I'm just. How long does it take to go away?
Sometimes I achieve it. Sometimes I don't.
Then you just take it.
And when you do achieve it, how long does it normally take?
When I do, I would say maybe within 5 minutes.
Okay.
If I really concentrate on it hard.
Right.
No, I used to go to, as I'm going to tell you, I used to go to esoteric classes and stuff.
You go to what classes?
Esoteric classes.
Okay.
Concentrating within yourself.
Right.
Okay, that's the way I've learned to try to use my own body energies and this and that and everything, whatever you want to call it.
Feedback.
But that way I do it, and sometimes I achieve it, sometimes I don't. But like I'm saying, I think it's within ourselves to believe or whatever it is. And I know, as you say, an aspirin, no, sometimes if I take the aspirin, that doesn't help. So
yeah,
that's true.
That's true. I've had headaches that aspirin didn't help. But the question is, in the times when it works for you, when it goes away in about 5 minutes, don't you think that it's possible that it would have gone away in 5 minutes anyway? I've had headaches that lasted just a few minutes and went away, even though I didn't concentrate or do anything special. So, isn't it possible that it could have just gone away on its own, even if you hadn't concentrated on it?
Maybe, maybe not, because I don't know. See, that's the point fair. That you don't, that I can't prove, disapprove.
Yeah, that's fair. And while I understand that, from my point of view, you seem to be putting more significance on the hits than the misses, right. and overemphasizing, what causation factors may have been involved.
But just to be fair, it could, especially if he suffers from like stress headaches, right. It could be something where if he relaxes and is able to relax, it could help. But then if he gets a different kind of a headache,
like you say, you meditate to within your own level.
But then if he gets some sort of other type of headache, it might not help.
Sure. Different reasons for pain and stress, high blood pressure, all kinds of other things that are real medical problems. Just sitting down and relaxing. This is why a lot of people think that when they pray, God takes the pain away. Because sometimes when you just relax, now what you might call energies or whatever, right. Putting some kind of label on it, I don't see any reason to use that label because it implies something supernatural when what we're really talking about is the body's ability to heal itself. And if you get yourself relaxed, you kind of facilitate that type of thing.
That's what I'm saying. I say within ourselves we can do things, and because as Tracie said, if the guy goes there, he's a murderer sitting in jail, so God forgave me. Then he is realizing within himself what's right and what's wrong. And that's where I look at it. That
okay.
The preacher didn't, or whatever.
I mean, I guess you wouldn't ask to be forgiven for something unless you thought it was wrong.
Well, you might. I mean, that's the interesting thing that I was going to. Were you a Catholic at some point, James?
No.
Okay.
I used to go to I started at the Baptist church and hated it. All they begged for was money.
The Lottie Moon Christmas offering.
Shoot. No, then from there I went to the Christian church, and it was completely different. It wasn't always for financial gifts to the church. You could go, you could help, and they were satisfied with it, to go cut the grass or mow paint or do something within it, because it wasn't that big of a church. But really, it was completely different than the Baptist. And then when I got older, when a family member, which was my mother, that got sick, and I stayed home with her, and the Baptist church come here and told me one day she hadn't been coming, which was Hyde Park Baptist, and she hadn't been coming. What was wrong with her? I said, she's a stroke patient. And they said, that's home. And after she got out of the hospital, stayed in bed. And the idiot told me this away. She's not going to get up and walk out of that bed. Why don't you take her place and come to our church? And I said, well, if the house caught on fire, who's going to be accused of neglect and let it burn to death in the house? I said, not me. Oh, you going to take that responsibility? He shut up and walked out of the house. So
I tell you what, look, I got one quick question for you, James. Are we going to see you at the Pride Festival this year?
Maybe. Getting old, young man. Even though you losing I don't know if you shave your head or you losing it.
I cut it down, trim it every week. I didn't cut it as short this week.
But see, I still got mine. That's the only advantage I have on you is hair, not age. So if I make it, I'll be there.
All right.
I'll stop by and see you somewhere or another if I do.
Definitely do. It's always good to talk to you. Thanks for calling, James.
All right, bye-bye.
The one question I was going to ask him, which is why I asked him if he's Catholic, is he brought up this idea about confession. And as somebody who, I've never been a Catholic. One of my mother's grandmother was a Catholic till the day she died. And my grandmother was a Catholic until she became a Baptist. But I never understood the whole thing about confession. And I've had friends who are Catholic. I've tried to get explanations. I've done research. We studied and even talked about the selling of indulgences. And of course, that applies to somebody after they're dead. But this whole idea of confession really bugs me because if you go in there and you've Father, bless me for I've sinned. I told 4 lies and slept with the basketball team. And he tells you, do X number of Hail Marys and Our Fathers or whatever. And so if that is a viable absolution of sin, then it seems to me the Catholic Church should not be opposed to anything. You should be able to walk in and say, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. I had sex while wearing a condom with another man, while filming little boys or whatever it is that the Catholic Church says is a sin. You should be able to go into confession and just say, so you could be a homosexual, a practicing Catholic homosexual, and maybe this is the way they get away with it, because I know a few, who just, once a week you go into the confessional booth and talk about how many times you had sex. Because for you, having sex is automatically a sin, where the rest of us, it's only a sin if we wear a condom.
So you get the fun of actually having the sex, and then you get to go and talk about it.
Yeah, although why anybody would want to sit through, like a Latin mass or
and
something.
Then, yeah, exactly.
Make a game out of it. See how many times you can get the priest to
Are you saying that you can't? Are you saying that they can't do that?
Evidently. I mean, you can't say that something is. I don't know. If you're a Catholic priest, please call in. But if you know something about how this works, I mean, if somebody is a homosexual, which the Catholic Church would generally condemn, could they continue to have a normal homosexual lifestyle? And I reluctantly use that word, but and still just go into confession every week and say, me and my partner had sex 18 times since last week. Great. Please forgive me. Okay, that'll be, maybe they'll give you so many Our Fathers and Hail Marys that you couldn't possibly have sex again. You'd just be constantly counting beads. Oh, Hail
That's
Mary,
funny.
full of grace, blah, blah, blah.